What is going on, Roland Empire here, guys? To give you a video, I wanted to do another of like the top rankings that I do, a top ranking of something, and it's not in my ballpark. If you know, one of my famous videos is my review on the Madness, and coming back to this era of what I've had of YouTube videos. After Hours was my starting point. I thought, why not give a refreshing, recent take of what I think of the Weeknd albums. You guys know a bit, what I enjoy and how I, like this music. And you have seen me, I can admit, I flip-flop here. I flip-flop here on like what I thought of all the albums eventually. And I thought we should do an honest one, an honest take of what I think of the album still. And, I'll just kick it up with the last one, the least that I enjoy, but I still like, is Starboy. Starboy is a nice melding pot of good music, but it's a cohesive story. It's just, I wish something was there. Aesthetically, it's beautiful, but story could have been better. There is a lot of songs like that. They're really just really fillers, but the songs that are in there that are hits, they're really good. They're still good. He knows how to make hit music, and I like that. I like that, the hit music really was a nice stepping stool for what eventually becomes. Some things really just walk so other things can run, and this really is a good example. Coming in for the next one, I would have to think is Beauty Behind the Madness. Beauty Behind the Madness really was what started for him in the mainstream, and it's still a really good album. I think that's commercially good. It's a commercially good one. Tracks are more condensed. There is a more story, but what he has done with story, it's not the best one. But there's something there. Again, the singles here, they're really good. He really is like, he picks things that are like good. Like, what is a good collaborative process of a production for music. Just the production is really good, and the stories are there that, like, it's a nice thing where it's like it's a mixture of what he had before and what he now is gonna be basically selling. So I like that, and it's still, I still go to these albums. I go to these still and enjoy the hits, and there's still, this one has some other kind of, smaller tracks, but they're still big. They're still big, and they're underrated. They're definitely underrated tracks, and this really has a lot of that. And for my next one, guys, I would have to say is My Dear Melancholy. I will include it. For me, everybody, this is what's great about Weeknd. Weeknd has enough fans from everything. This is my version, okay? When this one came out, I was like, yes, this is a form of him again. This was EP. This is an EP. But hey, sometimes, quality over quantity, and it was more condensed, 6 out tracks. Some were better than others. I'll still admit that. Some were better than the others. But a lot of these tracks were good, okay? With the way it starts, the way it ends, there was a cohesiveness. There was a cohesiveness, and I was like, this is nice. And it still holds up. I still really enjoyed the project. This really was like what was going to be coming. Like what was going to be coming of him now. And it really shows now with the era that we have. And yeah, this, it would be interesting to see if maybe there was more to this, but I'll still take the album. Maybe this was the start of something, or maybe it's the start of what it is now. But I really do just really enjoy this album. Alright, guys, these next ones, they're really tricky. This is the obvious ones that and they all could really go back and forth. I think for me, this is a nice little, like interpretation. I still really like, what this is. And, for at the time being, it's still fresh, but it shows. It shows what I think. At the next one, at number 3, I have to give is After Hours. After Hours, what a nice return to form completely for him now. This was a nice way to show now what he is to the mainstream culture, that what he can tell as a story, what his best, his pros are in lyrics. A lot of these songs, there's a nice blend. There's that pop, that R&B, that just hold that, like, that dark atmosphere that he provides for his style. And, I still like it. This one I enjoy for many reasons, okay? I'm more, like I said, with what he was originally, the independent alternative, but I like the pop stuff this here, too. This is a nice way to, like, I can enjoy it. I can really enjoy it and relate to it. It just assembles something so cinematic. What he always has envisioned, like, I think what he also mentioned in Kissland, he nailed it. He nailed it with After Hours. And I like the vision of what it is cinematically. It's a nice little story about a character, and, like, the character that has to go through these themes. So this one really just, it really holds and has a lot of hits. This has a lot of hits. More hits than the radio is giving credit, but who cares? I know what they are, and the hits are really just absolutely amazing. Now, the next ones that come up, really, it's so tricky now, again, but I've got to go more with the cliche route. The cliche route for this. Number 2, Kissland. Kissland is what really started, it was unique. Okay, he was about to go now mainstream, but it was an interesting take of how what people were thinking of the album. I just personally, how it is for me, how I was enjoying. I related to the album, or at least I understood the album. I thought it was a time of progression. It really was a nice way of like, oh, okay, so going bigger, he has this kind of like idea of what he could be selling, you know. And for a while, you know, he had to kind of switch, but it's nice to see him go back, you know, with After Hours. After Hours was that example. But yeah, this was really a nice. This was a stepping stone of like what was definitely going to be becoming from like just anything, just setting up pieces of where these tracks go, and the transitions that go with this really is just nice, and a nice intro to a nice outro. This was a nice blend. He said there were certain things that were going to be inspired. I didn't get all those stuff in it, but I got an interpretation. I was like, you have an inspiration that really is like, you can tell you have a love for certain thing that you wanted to make it your own with this, and I like that. And it definitely did show like the certain world, the world that, you know, he was gonna eventually be seeing, a bigger world, but picture of what his life is. And it just feels like, you know, a lot of people were like that. We could all relate to a certain life, that, you know, how we experience life and things like that. And I did like it. It was unique. It was definitely unique, and I still listen to it. Like I listened to all of them, but like the first top four, definitely go back. I definitely go back because there really are just, there's nice enjoyments out of it. Whether if you're feeling moody, whether if you're feeling just really, you know, happy, just an energetic content, you know, we're all human. We're all human, and that's what I got from his albums. This is what I get from his music. And then coming in at number one, Trilogy. Trilogy is still the cream of the crop. It's what sold him, okay? You know, you can tell how it is now, how much of a tone shift he changes the tone shift with, like, and, you know, having the mixtapes, but then realizing also that, you know, how it really is a nice full-on album, and it's still good with the production that he had with his friends and crew, and bringing the lyricisms, bringing that nice chill, that chill atmosphere that he has, and just that chill atmosphere with the overall groundedness. It was nice, and it was a nice way to, you know, shape up what alternative R&B is. Alternative R&B is now definitely in this decade that we lived. So it has deserved some credit, and people have showed it. It really stands the test of time, and the lyrics are so good, and it's now interesting to go through like a binge. If you go through a binge and go through all and see how much there's a progression, definitely now with After Hours, how he has that progression, it really is a nice little take, and I really, you know, am interested to just how to visualize something. Like, man, all this stuff you put in Trilogy, and the way it certainly pays around back to After Hours, just so good. It's so good, and at least it shows that he has grown up. He has grown up in the sense of what, you know, he has sold now, like how he sold his image, how he's projected, and now how his image is becoming. The image of the becoming is really just, it's an appreciation. And yeah, these are really my rankings of what I thought of these albums. They're, you know, they're all subjective, really. It's just subjective how you feel. This is how I say it. You can tell that at least you're like, well, if he's a fan, what kind of fan is he? Oh, he's this kind of fan. He's that fan that falls into that category. But there's legions and legions of all fans. And I just wanted to give my rankings and show that, you know, yeah, something's flipped. Definitely something's flipped. But some things still stay. Still stay in that time where I think how I enjoy the albums and the songs as well. So let me know, guys, what you think. What is your ranking for the Weeknd albums? These are just my ranking for the Weeknd albums, guys. All this in the comments below. And as always, roll on Empire. Laugh, smile, repeat.